Christmas and New Year on Azamara Journey with Friends begins with American Airlines flight from Manchester to Miami via Chicago. We've got 3 days in Miami before the cruise, staying at the Conrad Hotel. We took a harbour cruise as a way of seeing some of the sights of Miami. Fisher Island is incredibly exclusive, and it's almost impossible to set foot on it unless you're a millionaire. Miami Beach. The yacht in front belongs to Mickey Arison, head of Carnival Corporation. Allegedly, these palm trees were imported from Africa at $10,000 a time. To get back to the hotel, we used the free Metro Mover, a driverless, high-level train system with some vertiginous views. Some spectacular views from our hotel, including the cruise port that we'll be sailing from on Journey. We left Miami in the pouring rain and sailed round Cuba, not across it, to Port Antonio in Jamaica. There's a very narrow entrance to the harbour and a smart-looking resort hotel on the promontory. That's the berth we'll be tying up alongside, and over to the right is the Errol Flynn Marina. At the cruise terminal, we're greeted by a Caribbean steel band. We hired a cab at the terminal to take us around the locality, starting with Trident Castle, Our primary destination was Mockingbird Hill Hotel, discovered on the internet. Great views, and they made us a very nice light lunch from scratch. And then off to take in more scenic views on the way back to the ship. A full day at sea brings us to Cartagena de Indias in Colombia, where we're met by some parrots at the cruise terminal. Cartagena was once the wealthiest city in the Americas because this is where the Spaniards brought all their gold and treasure for transshipment back to Europe. Persistent raids by pirates, including Sir Francis Drake and Sir John Hawkins, encouraged the Spaniards to build strong defences, including the fortress of San Fernando, which overlooks the city. The next stop on our guided taxi tour are the old dungeons, which now house tourist shops. We leave the taxi at the edge of the old walled town, and our driver takes us on a walking tour. There's plenty of modern public art in this old town centre. Simón Bolívar Square with a statue of the hero. Cartagena's cathedral peeping out from a corner of the square. The cathedral dates from 1602, having been partially destroyed in one of Sir Francis Drake's raids on the city. Time to head back to the cruise terminal, where the birds have been put back in the aviary, and reboard journey for a sail out along the long inlet that separates Cartagena from the Caribbean Sea. After a full day at sea, we arrive at the Panama Canal for our daytime transit. "7:15 and we're entering the lowest lock at Gatun on the Caribbean side. Now moving into the second lock, guided by the mules. Past the massive lock gates. Now moving into the third and highest lock at Gatun. Just after 11 o'clock and we're moving into the great artificial lake of Gatun. "1 o'clock and we've entered the Culebra Cut. Works going on for the widening and deepening project. A new set of pilots and their helpers joining us. Passing under the Centennial Bridge. 2 o'clock and we're entering Pedro Miguel Locks. "4 o'clock and we're entering Miraflores. The Panama Canal Visitor Center with the webcams on top and lots of visitors looking at us. "5 o'clock and we exit Miraflores into the Pacific Ocean, and ahead of us, the Bridge of the Americas. As we sail by Panama City, no idea what this building is. Another full day at sea, and we arrive on Christmas morning in Punta Arenas, Costa Rica. Our Christmas morning trip starts with a cruise in the mangrove forest in search of various kinds of wildlife. That's a real live crocodile. A burnt-out boat provides a good habitat for some wildlife. After about an hour, we leave the boat for our visit to the wildlife sanctuary, where we see spider monkeys. Howler monkeys and two-toed sloths. These juvenile macaws are being observed to see when it'll be safe to release them into the wild. But the main attraction of this wildlife centre are the scarlet macaws.
The flower of this that is called powder puff.
Back on board we have wonderful Christmas Day celebrations, and overnight we sail to San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua. Unfortunately, the video camera didn't behave very well when we were ashore, so there are only pictures taken from the ship. There didn't seem to be very much to the town unless you were a diver or a backpacker. A statue of Christ overlooks San Juan, and back on board, Mr. Echelard is soaking up the rays. But the highlight of the visit was the performance on-board journey of the Ballet Nicaraguanese, a folkloric group, but not like anyone we've ever seen before.
de doña Inés. Pero yo que estaba loco por su amor, y en mis cuentas era mío su querer. Los recelos florearon y mi amor se llevaron, y los mayos volvieron sin voz. Y tu risa de seda, minga Rosa Pineda, yo no sé qué camino tomó.
As the sun sets, it's time for Journey to leave on its way to Mexico. A full day's sailing brings us to Huatulco, where we find ourselves alongside Holland America's Amsterdam. The Mexican government is developing the Huatulco Bays area as a Pacific Coast tourist destination. Significant investment in infrastructure is being put in ahead of the development of the large resort hotels. We took a ship's tour that started by taking us round some of Huatulco's 9 bays. Then we went to La Crucachita, which is effectively the urban centre of Huatulco. This is where you find the shops, the restaurants and the bars and so on. The church is on the main square, and inside it's very highly decorated. The ceiling boasts the largest painting of the Virgin of Guadalupe in Mexico. Back to Huatulco for a commanding view of its bays and the 2 ships in port today. An overnight sail brings us into Acapulco Bay. The cruise terminal is directly in front of San Diego Fort. And waiting for us down there is Rudy of toursbyvan.com. Our first stop is the Chapel of Peace, which is located in a very exclusive residential area high up overlooking the bay. The chapel was built by a very wealthy family and can now be used for weddings and other such things. The chapel itself is a very simple building and the location is a haven of peace in a very busy city. Our tour took us through the main local market, and the traffic that day was especially busy due to it being a festival week. Next stop, the abandoned Hotel Casablanca, empty for 50 years very mysteriously, but with spectacular views of the bay, and good to see that our ship is still there. A visit to Acapulco can't be complete without coming to see the famous cliff divers. That evening, a spectacular sail out from Acapulco Bay as the sun sets. Next day was a sea day, and Captain Theodorou volunteered to give Greek dancing lessons to us all.
Left kick, right kick, left leg goes behind, then on the side, right, okay? Easy. Right, left. Left.
He can sing when you're
Right, and left goes behind. And again, left, right, left goes behind. Okay, let's start with number one song, please. Play us the number one. Left, right, left behind, and on the side, left, right. Continue.
On New Year's Eve, which is also Joe's birthday, we arrive in Cabo San Lucas at the southern tip of Baja California. We hired a taxi tour at the dockside, and our first stop was the Hotel Finisterre for an overview of the town. Next stop was the glass blowing factory. They use recycled glass here, so as well as providing much needed employment in the locality, it also deals with a waste disposal problem. Then it's on along the coast to see these beautiful sandy bays that attract so many holidaymakers here. Then it's on to San Jose del Cabo, founded as a mission station as long ago as 1730. Our taxi driver arranged a surprise serenade for Joe's birthday. Another spectacular sunset sail away. We were the last of the 4 ships in to leave as we passed Finisterre and the moon rises over the Calos. Our last day on board, and representatives of all the ship's departments and all the many nationalities on board come to say goodbye.
My name is Sami Shenan. I work in the F&B department. I represent Bosnia and Herzegovina. Želim vam sretne praznike.
To all it is to deliver to you, not just as I mentioned before, an incredible service, just to pass the kindness and the warmth this incredible crew has in their hearts.
Next morning, it's disembarkation in San Diego, where the USS Midway stands proud, now a museum. The view from our hotel of downtown San Diego, with Journey waiting to leave without us. Just slowly moving off the berth now. In the morning, we took the old San Diego trolley hop on, hop off, and we hopped off in Coronado. The famous Hotel del Coronado. The other side of Coronado, ferry landing, gives good views of the city of San Diego. The trolley stopped in San Diego's old town. This is a recreation and rebuilding of the original Spanish settlement. A genuine Wells Fargo stagecoach from the late 19th century. We take our final leave of the trolley in the Gas Lamp district. And here is the US Grant Hotel. The palace was once a gambling joint owned by Wyatt Earp. It's a short stroll back to the harbour front where we're going to have dinner, past the Santa Fe railway station, and a Holland America and Carnival Cruise Line ship in today. Our restaurant, the Top of the Market, is close to the USS Midway. Early morning from our hotel window, and this morning we're taking a taxi to La Jolla along the coast. Lots of wildlife on view here, including some local native humans who swim in the bay. Back in San Diego in time for a mid-afternoon harbour cruise on an old pilot boat. The old vessels all belong to the San Diego Maritime Museum, and this one is a replica of the original America of America's Cup fame. This modern replica sailing ship was used in the film Master and Commander: Far Side of the World, and the submarine is a Soviet Cold War era one. Tomorrow we have to go home, a long day's flying via Chicago back to a frozen Manchester.